Model of cerebral hemisphere of left side. The frontal pole is blunt and directed anteriorly. The occipital pole is sharp and directed posteriorly. The medial surface is marked by corpus callosum. Now, in order to divide in lobes, we use three sulcus and two imaginary lines. First one is the central sulcus, second one is the lateral sulcus, and third one is the parieto-occipital sulcus. First imaginary line goes from parieto-occipital sulcus to pre-occipital notch. Pre-occipital notch and parieto-occipital sulcus, if you draw an imaginary line throughout that, that will be the first imaginary line, and posterior lemma infundibulum, pituitary stalk, and from posterior ramus of lateral sulcus to first imaginary line. If you draw another line, the horizontal line, that will be the second imaginary line, and that will divide into frontal lobe, parietal lobe, temporal lobe, and small occipital lobe. Now the sulcus and the gyrus. This is the central sulcus. In front of it, this is central sulcus lies 1 centimeter behind the midline and cuts the medial surface. This is the precentral sulcus, and this is the postcentral sulcus. Between precentral sulcus and central sulcus, there is precentral gyrus, and behind the central sulcus and postcentral gyrus, this is postcentral sulcus. There is postcentral gyrus. Now another thing, there is this is the superior frontal sulcus, inferior frontal sulcus, dividing into superior frontal lobule, middle frontal lobule, inferior frontal lobule. In temporal lobe, there is superior temporal sulcus, inferior temporal sulcus, dividing it into superior temporal lobe, middle temporal lobe, inferior temporal lobe. And in the parietal surface, there is interparietal sulcus, dividing it into superior parietal lobule, inferior parietal lobule. Superior frontal gyrus, middle frontal gyrus, inferior frontal gyrus, superior temporal gyrus, middle temporal gyrus, inferior temporal gyrus, and that will be superior parietal lobule and inferior parietal lobule. And backside there is the central sulcus cutting the medial surface, and this is the corpus callosum, and this is the callosal sulcus, and this is the cingulate sulcus. We have between callosal sulcus and cingulate sulcus there is cingulate gyrus. The cingulate sulcus goes upward and front and medially, and that constitutes the paracentral lobule. Central sulcus, medial part of cingulate sulcus, and another part of the postcentral gyrus, postcentral sulcus. And there is also now the Brodmann's area. Is in front of the central sulcus there is primary motor area, area 4. In the superior, middle, and temporal, superior, middle, and inferior frontal gyrus, there is secondary motor area. The frontal eye field, the area 8 situates here, and the area 6, the secondary motor area, is here. There is also a Brodmann's area 9, 10, and 11 controlling our personality. The frontal eye field area 8 controls the conjugate movements of the eye and the voluntary scanning movement. And the secondary motor area helps in the planning of the motor movements. And behind in the medial surface, there is in the paracentral lobule, the leg muscles are controlled here. The area Brodmann's area 4. And behind the central sulcus and in front of the postcentral sulcus, there is postcentral gyrus. There is area Brodmann's area 312. 312. It is the primary sensory area. In the superior parietal lobule, there is area Brodmann's area 5 and Brodmann's area 7. This is the secondary sensory area or somastatic secondary sensory area. This controls all the sensory activities of the body, and in the posterior part it controls anal and urinary sphincters. And this is the Wernicke's Broca's motor area. Broca's motor area is area 44 and 45. Broca's motor area. This is the lateral feature. This is the anterior ramus of lateral fissure. This is the horizontal ramus of lateral fissure. Anterior ramus and horizontal ramus. Horizontal ramus, anterior ramus. Behind the anterior ramus of lateral sulcus, there is pars orbitalis, and in between the কি বলে anterior ramus and the horizontal ramus there is pars triangularis, and behind the anterior ramus and between posterior ramus there is pars opercularis. The vernix Broca's motor area lies in between the pars opercularis and pars triangularis. In pars opercularis there is area 44, and pars triangularis there is area 45. Now the uh, occipital lobe, this is the area 17, the visual cortex area 17, this is the primary visual area, and this is the visual area 18 and area 19, that is visual association area. And এখানে Broca's motor area is area 39 and 40. This is between the angular gyrus and the superior lip of lateral sulcus, superior lip of lateral sulcus. In angular gyrus the area is area 40, and in the superior lip in angular gyrus the area is area 39, and the superior lip of lateral sulcus the area is area 40. And in the superior temporal lobe there is the temporal auditory area, primary auditory area কত 41 42 primary auditory area. আর পিছন দিকে আর কি আছে, আর কোন এরিয়া আছে? এত কিছু নাই। এটা হলো কর্পাস ক্যালোসাম, this is the lateral ventricle, the structure is septum pellucidum, this is the fornix, this is the anterior commissure, this is the rostrum of the corpus callosum, this is the genu of corpus callosum, this is the body of corpus callosum, this is the splenium, this is the posterior commissure, this is the superior colliculi, this is the inferior colliculi, and this is the mammillary bodies, and this is the pituitary stalk or infundibulum. This is the thalamus or the area for third ventricle. This is the interthalamic adhesion. This is the lateral ventricle, cerebral aqueduct, third ventricle. Cerebral aqueduct is this one, cerebral aqueduct, lateral ventricle, third ventricle, and this is the fourth ventricle. Fourth ventricle lies in between cerebellum and the brainstem. This is the arbor vitae. Arbor vitae is the tree-like branching of the white matter of cerebellum. And this is the nerve roots. This is the olfactory valve. This is the optic nerve and optic chiasma. Some part of it is seen here. This is the most probably this is the oculomotor nerve, and behind this is the abducent nerve, which comes from posterior part. In the anterolateral part of the pons there is trigeminal nerve. This is the long sensory root, and this is the short motor root. In the pontomedullary junction there is, from medial to lateral side, there is abducens nerve, তারপরে facial nerve and vestibulocochlear nerve. In the medulla oblongata this is the elevation called pyramid, and lateral to the pyramid another elevation called olive, and behind this is the cerebellar peduncle. Between the pyramid and olive there is hypoglossal nerve, cranial nerve 12, and between the olive and the cerebral peduncle there is 3 nerves. From above downward there is nerve 9, glossopharyngeal nerve, vagus nerve, and cranial part of spinal accessory nerve. And the
olive कौन सा?
olive, this is the olive, this is the pyramid, this is the olive. আর এখানে আছে আর্টেরিয়াল সাপ্লাই বলতে গেলে অ্যান্টেরিয়র মিডিয়াল সারফেস, ল্যাটারাল অ্যান্টেরিয়র সেরিব্রাল আর্টারি, মিডিয়াল cerebral artery, posterior cerebral artery. Anterior cerebral artery and middle cerebral artery are branches of internal carotid artery, and posterior cerebral artery is the branch of basilar artery. Basilar artery is formed by the union of two vertebral arteries. এখন এই circle of Willis is formed by the two anterior cerebral arteries, two sides connected by the anterior commissure artery, and internal carotid artery in the lateral side, which is connected to posterior cerebral artery through posterior commissural arteries. And the artery supply of the brain কি ছিল মনে নেই। Anterior medial surface supplied by anterior cerebral artery, except the কোনটা temporal pole and the inferior surface. The anterior cerebral artery supplies the medial surface, and the superior lateral surface is supplied by the, huh?